What if Deku used the three-sword style? Now, I'm sorry I did not upload yesterday. I was playing Animal Crossing and I had to do 4 math videos, which took me like 4 hours. So I just couldn't do it. But I'm getting it off with like a 15-minute video here, so I hope you guys do enjoy this. Now, Izuku was born quirkless, while his sister was always the loved child. She was always the child that got everything. Izuku was the child that was only there for if Izumi, which is Izuku's sister, got sick, he'd be there to donate. Because he's still a child, he basically has no will for this. Now, both their parents is Inko and All Might. Now, Izumi grows up with an extremely powerful telekinesis and strength quirk, as when they're around 10, Izuku is walking home, and he overhears All Might offer Izumi one for all. As Izumi asks what about Izuku, as he's could be very suitable and he's quirkless. All Might tells her that he's not going to let Izuku guilt trip them into giving him his power. Now Izuku jumps out of the bushes he was hiding in and just looks at All Might, who just revealed himself as their father, and just looks down with just pure hatred towards both of them, as they give him a look of pity, as Izuku just looks at them and says, "I didn't know you felt like this, father, if I can even call you that. I've been abused by you and malnourished all this time. Lucky I was quirkless. If I even had one tiny quirk, you guys would be in jail." As Izuku runs away, with All Might looking down in shame, with Izumi just laughing, thinking, yeah, right, he's gonna run away. The next day, Izuku doesn't show up to the house or school. Bakugo asks Izumi about this, as Izumi just says, "Oh yeah, that little Deku ran away," as they both laugh, thinking he couldn't fully commit to this. Now, Izuku runs into Daigoba Beach. He sees plywood just floating in the water, as he takes a rusty hammer and some nails that he saw somebody drop. Don't know why, just purely being anime logic, as he takes this and makes a boat. If you guys have seen BFDI, you most likely know what this boat is. It's the boat that Fiery, Match, Pencil Pen, I believe, were all in with Blocky when he supposedly got eaten by the monster. I'm not gonna get into that. But it's basically like that boat, as he makes an oar as he starts setting out without water or food, and anime logic comes in, saves the day, as he lands on an island. Now, he walks around the island as he sees a temple there, as he walks up to the temple and sees a statue of somebody with short green hair. It was painted, just as you guys know, short green hair, a green bandana tied to his arm, and him holding 3 swords, 2 in his hands and 1 in his mouth. Izuku looked at him intently as he looked at the stone down with a plaque on it that looked to be in another language. He reached up and touched one of the swords as the shrine started glowing, as a older version of this character walks out and looks at Izuku and says, "You have awoken me. What's your purpose for being on this island?" Izuku looks at him and says, "I was betrayed by my family, and I have no power. I've come here to live out my life." Now, Zoro, or the old man Zoro, looks at Izuku with pity as Izuku yells at him to not give him that look. Zoro sees pure determination in Izuku's eyes as he tells Izuku, or more like asks him, if he would like to be trained by him. Izuku looks up at him, like just looking very happy, as Zoro says to Izuku that he will have to train hours each day to the brink of death and back. If he's willing to do this, he'll also have to carry on his legacy of being the number one swordsman in the world. Izuku accepts this as Zoro starts teaching Izuku how to use swords. Izuku, very dumbly, he's a quirkless kid, wimpy, and he's scrawny. He can't even lift the sword, so Zoro just laughs at him and says, I guess we'll have to start off with some easier training then. Zoro points at a huge boulder, ties a rope around it, and says, alright, I want you to carry this to the end of the island and back before nightfall. Izuku looks at him just in pure disbelief, as Zoro just laughs and says, I did this 10 times when I was your age. I don't know what's wrong, how you can't even do it once. Izuku puts the rope around himself as he starts doing the lap and ends up finishing 2 days later. Zoro just looks at him and says, well, it's a start, kid. As they continue to train for the next 5 years, gruesomely, as each time Izuku would make a mistake, Zoro would end up slashing him, with Izuku taking the scars in pride just to make sure he doesn't mess up, as one fatal mistake could be fatal, so he cannot make any mistakes. Now, once these 5 years are up, Izuku, now 15, has become a very good swordsman and can almost beat Zoro. They've tied multiple times, but remember, Zoro is not in his prime. He's an old man. Now, after this, Zoro gives his 3 swords to Izuku and his bandana and his clothes to Izuku, as Izuku basically kind of looks like Zoro, but with more hair, basically. As Izuku asks him if he's sure about this, Zoro just says that Izuku now has to complete the legacy of himself, as he starts fading away, as Izuku asks him, wait, where are you going? Zoro just says, I've been in your mind this whole time. You've been talking to nothing. You've released my spirit from the shrine. Now I rest peacefully inside of you, giving you my skills. As Izuku easily picks up the swords and waves them around, as he gets on the corroded boat and starts rowing towards Japan. He gets there as the now clean Deku beach, with tons of people sitting on there, see this guy wearing old clothes that look like a pirate, and bandana on one of his arms with 3 swords, rowing towards the beach, as people start getting scared and start running away, as Izuku just mutters, fools, as he continues rowing his boat, as multiple heroes are called as they arrive on the scene to see Izuku just calmly rowing the boat into shore, as he lands on Dagobah Beach, as they all get into a defensive position and ask him what his deal is, as Izuku just looks at him and says, oh, you can't even give me a warm welcome back, huh? Just gonna threaten me like I'm a villain now? And Hero Society's really fallen since I left, hasn't it? As they are wondering what he's doing, as he takes out one of his swords, as he says, just make this quick. as he gets into a fighting position with one sword, as a hero charges at him from behind, as Izuku slashes up on him and says, "Charging from behind on your opponent, how dishonorable." As the rest charge in on him all at once, as Izuku takes the sword, reaches it over to the other side of his body, and slashes all the way across, making the wind, basically forming the wind into a air slash as it cuts through everybody, knocking each one out with a cut around their waist. As Izuku walks around some of the best heroes very easily. Now, what Izuku didn't know was that a helicopter was recording the whole thing. And where was All Might and Izumi? They were on the couch in the family room, watching the whole thing go down, as they both ask themselves, doesn't that look like Izuku? Could that be Izuku? As they both run to the beach and see Izuku there, as they ask Izuku, as he looks over and he just glares at them in the corner of his eye as he continues to walk, as he's stopped by Bakugo, who ran to the beach as well, saying, "What are you doing here, nerd? And when did you get so powerful? It must have been a fluke for all these heroes to pass out or be defeated by you." As Izuku just gets out, or shines one part of his sword, like most animes that require a sword, as he puts it back, as Bakugo is slashed, as he falls down unconscious, as Izuku continues to walk, as he finally stops and yells to All Might and Izumi, "If anyone dares follow me, they'll be exactly like Bakugo and those heroes." And that's where I'm going to leave it off, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy what if Deku used the three sword style. See ya, guys. Bye.